welcome to episode 1 of the Dreamcast Files, a journey through all 248 original American releases for the Sega Dreamcast. Now, my name's Brian, and if you recognize me at all, you might be saying, wait a second, I thought we were streaming. The streaming situation proved to be a little more logistically challenging than I anticipated. Also, I found myself more interested in the research of, what if I just made the whole plane out of the research? And we just did this together on our own time. And so what I'm doing instead is we're going to go through each game, but we're going to take our time. And we're going to learn. We're going to start fresh. So we're heading back to 9999 for the release of the Sega Dreamcast. And we're going to start at the top of the mountain. SOULCALIBUR. SOULCALIBUR was a sequel to Soul Edge, a weapons-based 3D fighter released in arcades in 1995, on the PlayStation as Soul Blade about a year later. Set in the year 1583, Soul Edge tells the story of 9 disparate warriors searching for the titular ultimate sword, stolen by a pirate named Cervantes de Leon. Soul Edge was well enough regarded, although it was overshadowed by the acclaim and anticipation of games from similar but more prominent fighting series like Tekken and Virtua Fighter. The Soul Edge team went back to the drawing board for a sequel, with their biggest development being the innovation of the 8-way run, which allowed for free-range movement on the playing field, instead of simply scooting on a set axis like most 3D games of the time. They called the game SOULCALIBUR, intending it to be a portmanteau of Soul and Excalibur. So, I guess if you're pronouncing it correctly, it's like SOULCALIBUR. But that's dumb. I'm not going to do that. The main thing differentiating the series from its brethren, like the aforementioned Tekken or Virtua Fighter, was, as producer Hiroaki Toriyama summed it up, fun and diversity in weapons combat. The game was released in arcades in the summer of 1998 and was an immediate hit. And because of the similarities in the motherboards, the dev team on the Dreamcast port actually improved the graphical output of the arcade original, adding full 3-dimensional backgrounds and a slew of new game modes. SOULCALIBUR was an instant smash on the fancy new console, garnering gargantuan plaudits, the likes of which were rarely seen before or since. In fact, even now, SOULCALIBUR remains in the top 5 highest-rated games of all time on Metacritic. The game retains nearly all of the characters from Soul Blade, and adds a bunch of new ones too, including eventual fan favorites like the wandering pirate Maxie, and De Leon's illegitimate pirate daughter, Ivy. It's a game set in the 16th century, it's a lot of pirates. Each fighter has their own weapon and fighting style, which diversifies the fighters even more than their base characterization, although that is certainly distinctive as well. The visuals are eye-popping, and the characters are interesting, but the reason SOULCALIBUR stands at the apex of the fighting game mountain is that its gameplay is an incredible combination of approachable and deeply complex. Even a near quarter-century later, the gameplay is remarkably fluid, and each fighter has their own unique skills. Because of this, it's a very easy game to pick up and play. If you want to button mash, you can do it, and still win some fights and have some fun. But the combat is complex, and there's a large series of challenging input strings that you can chain together for true mastery. The Sega Dreamcast had a short but meaningful reign at the top, and SOULCALIBUR led the charge, dropping day one and basically having every person that played it immediately fall in love. As we go on this journey, chronicling all 248 original games released for the Sega Dreamcast, I ranked them based on original release scoring, and I hate to break it to you, but we've already seen number 1. SOULCALIBUR is as perfect as fighting games get, and as such, is regarded as being nearly as perfect as any games get. Full stop. We will see other great games on this list, including many other great fighting games, but none quite so beloved as SOULCALIBUR. Up next, Sega gets into a spat with Electronic Arts and accidentally invents the most beloved football series of all time.